The Influence Tribe, episode number 40.
You got to get away from being the person that only sees the challenges and the problems and this is why it's not going to work, to become the person that says there's major opportunity here. There's major need here. I can fill that need. There's just major room. There's plenty of room, to come in here and have a major impact.
If you want success in internet marketing, you just have to follow what real internet marketers do.
Now, what do I have to do to get you into this website today?
Right here, you're going to learn strategies, tips, and inspiring stories from up-and-coming internet marketers and current rock stars. Welcome to the Influence Tribe, presented by your hosts, Miguel Fuentes and Scott Lindstrom.
Nice, huh?
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Influence Tribe show on this wonderful Friday. We want to welcome to all of our viewers that happen to be catching this live at theinfluencetribe.com. We also like to welcome all of our podcast listeners out there, so be sure if you're getting value from this show, like, subscribe, and give us a 5-star review. So, before we kick this show off, I got to ask, like I always do, to every guest, Adam, are you ready to become a massive influencer tonight?
Oh, sorry. I was just drinking. I was taking a big gulp out of my water bottle when you kind of put me on the spot there.
I timed that perfectly. just that.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right. So we have a real internet rock star in the house tonight, folks. Adam Chandler comes from humble beginnings, and I love his story. He's a proven leader in this industry. He's the creator of his own products as well as a coach and a speaker. And he was born in Burlington, Vermont, and now lives and resides in Denver, Colorado. He joined his MLM back in 2008, and then in early 2009 joined MLSP. He's been able to attain leadership board levels and is currently at L4. And he's previously been featured on Member of the Month and has been a regular on Wake Up Calls. One of his proud accomplishments is that he went from making $19,000 in 2009 to his first six-figure year just 2 years later in 2011. He loves being self-employed and working from home and living life on his own terms. Primary method of building business online is through social media marketing and Facebook. So I'm excited to get into tonight's episode. But before I do, I want to turn this over to Miguel Fuentes, who's going to tell you who the Influence Tribe is and how you can be a part of this awesome community. Miguel, take it away, sir.
Thank you, Scott. Much love. I appreciate you as always. I'm super excited to be here on Friday night with Mr. Adam Chandler, who I have personally had the experience to have worked with him in the past, and I've always been impressed with his content and very excited to share the things that he's taught me personally as a marketer. So I'm super excited to have him on this evening. As always, folks, getting value from the show, you're watching this on theinfluencetribe.com. There's a big yellow button off to the side of the page that says, yes, I'm ready to get results. I'm ready to get started. I'm ready to move forward with the proven leader. I'm ready to start changing my life. Click the big yellow button, fill out the form, get started, get back to the person that brought you. And with that, Adam, please, for those folks that aren't familiar with you the way that I am, please share your story and let us know how you came up in the industry.
Yeah, I'd love to. And thanks so much, Scott and Miguel, for having me on this awesome show with so many other awesome leaders. You know, this provides a ton of value to a lot of people, and I appreciate you guys for having me and for doing this and for advancing the industry the way that you guys do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So my story, I came from a newspaper advertising background. I had like a corporate newspaper advertising sales job for about 3 years in Burlington, Vermont, which is where I grew up. And then I decided that I wanted to move to Colorado. Some time passed by. Let's just fast forward. I moved to Colorado. I didn't have a job when I got there. I tried to transfer, but it didn't work. So I went there without a job. In my first 6 months, it was a 2,000-mile move across the country by myself. In my first 6 months, I lost 2 newspaper advertising sales jobs. And I didn't know where my next paycheck was going to come from. I didn't know if I was going to have to move back home and failure and shame. And it actually that was about the time that I started looking online for like other options. And and it was funny because I was in the process of looking at what else was out there. I think I started an eBay business, and I did some other things that, I just kind of dabbled in, like trying to find a way to make money online. I was actually looking for another newspaper sales job on Craigslist, and I saw a little ad that said, "We can show you how to make money online." And I was a little skeptical, but I was also very curious. And the system was like, the next thing I know, I was inside the sales funnel. What I did not know was a sales funnel at the time, right? And seeing stories about these people that were making, $40,000-$50,000 a month working from home part time, in their flip flops from their beach house in Maui. And I'm like, what? I didn't know I didn't know people could have lives like that. I didn't know that was a thing. Like, and it really opened my eyes to a whole subculture of people who are making, very comfortable livings online and like doing it without having a job. And I didn't even know that was possible. So that one thing that this industry really did for me was like, it opened my eyes to a whole new world of possibilities that I did not even know existed. And it also kind of made me think, well, maybe if they can do it, maybe I can too. And I started learning from them. Fortunately, I found some good mentors fairly early on who kind of took me under their wing, or like, showed me what they were doing to get the results. And I just, in the movie Goodfellas, when they're like, he's like, I wanted to be a gangster more than I wanted to be president of the United States. Like in the very beginning, like that's the way I felt about internet. Once I saw people living those kinds of lifestyles and like traveling and snowboarding, doing all the things that I wanted to do. I mean, in the beginning, I just wanted to snowboard more, and I just wanted to be able to do more cool stuff with my time and do less not cool stuff, and but it really was like that. I wanted to be a successful internet marketer living the dream of freedom more than anything else in the world. That's kind of my story, like early on, kind of how I came into this industry.
That's awesome. I love that. Just that desire that I just really, really wanted it. That's amazing. That's a
And then I'll tell you, I found, okay, so I borrowed a couple $1,000s to get started in my first direct sales business. Over the course of the next 6 months, I had borrowed another maybe $8,000 just on like, wow. And bought it just for buying marketing systems and products and, other things. 6 months into the business, I was $10,000 in debt from the business, and I had not made a dime or a single sale. And it was real, it was really like, all my friends are like, what are you thinking? Like my friends and my family are like, really? You haven't made a dime yet? You're $10,000, like cut your losses now, like get out while you can, kind of a thing. And I'm just like, I don't think I could do that. And then like things started happening, like affiliate sales. Okay. So I made my first affiliate sale selling a magnetic sponsoring ebook. I made a $20 commission, and I'm like, it works. I was $10,000 in debt, and I made a $20 commission, and I'm like doing backflips in my living room, like it works. And then they refunded the very next day.
Oh, ouch!
That was my first sale that I ever made online.
Ouch.
But then things started happening. I found MLSP like very, very early on in the beginning. My timing with MLSP was impeccable. It could not have, like, I was among the first people to bring MLSP to the industry, and it, it really caught on, like it was, my timing was really, really good there. There's been a couple times over the last 9 years I've had really good timing, and timing is great. Right. But so then things started happening. I started making affiliate sales with MLSP. People started joining my primary business. And even though 6 months into the business, I hadn't made a single dime, 1 year in, so 6 months after that, I was like full-time, like making full-time money in the industry. So I actually went full-time in my first year. But then again, back then, I was 26 years old. Like full-time income for me back then was, not that much. We're talking like a couple $1,000s a month was full-time income for me at the time.
That's awesome. How did you hold yourself in the game through all of that, through having your first sale ever just refunded to you? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, sure. So definitely getting around the leaders was huge. Just getting on all the calls that I could, all the webinars that I could. I think I went to an event in that first year, which was huge. it really was just surrounding myself with, with people that had an entrepreneur mindset, right? And just getting around those people. That was probably the biggest. Not only was I excited to be around, different thinking kind of people, but I was also really excited to learn new things. I really got excited about learning online marketing because I knew how, I knew that the world was changing in a very big way, and that if I wanted to, that by changing with it rather than fighting against it, because in the newspaper world, I was fighting against the internet. And now I was able to kind of swim like rather than swimming against the stream, I was like swimming with the stream. And there was something that I found really, really exciting about that. I'm like, this is where I need to be right now. There was something that always was, even when I was at really low points, there was always something in the back of my mind that's like, you are so in the right place right now.
That's awesome. What was your breakthrough strategy at that time? And do you still recommend that to folks?
Yeah, well, it was video marketing, definitely. It was, I was making a lot of YouTube videos. I think there was some weeks where I would maybe make 20 videos in a week, and then we had strategies for getting them to rank on Google. Back then, it's a little different today, but we were able to, once I started making, getting maybe 15 leads a day from videos, because if you know video marketing, it converts better. Like the leads that you're going to get from video marketing is going to convert better than a lead that you're going to get from a non-video, and I would have, and that was something that I really recognized, is that like I would actually, by the time I actually got on the phone with somebody, they had seen 3 or 4 of my videos, because they saw the YouTube video that got them to the capture page. And there was a video on the capture page, and then there was a video on the thank you page, so it's like by the time I actually talked to them, they'd seen 3, 4 of my videos. And when I remember one time very clearly, I called this woman on the phone, and I'm like, hi, is so and so there? This is Adam Chandler. And she screamed, and she's like, I can't believe I'm actually talking to you right now. I feel like I already know you. And it was it's all because the power of video. So yeah, so that video was a major breakthrough strategy for me. Back then, I actually recruited the number 1 income earner, the number 1 producer of all time in My Lead System Pro, which was a guy named Dave Wood, who went on to do some other stuff in the industry, right? He came from a YouTube video, and it was like, and I think from Dave, like I made tier 2 commissions in MLSP, because at the time MLSP was a 2-tier affiliate system. So I made second tier income off of everything that Dave Wood did for about 2 years. So I probably made $100,000 just off of second tier commissions from what this guy did in the system. So I can honestly say I've got a 2-minute YouTube video that made me $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm curious, what has your attention in marketing today? Like right now, you take a look at social media, you take a look at the internet. What really has your attention as a marketing strategy right now?
So definitely Facebook ads. I think that, I did Google ads before I did Facebook ads. There's definitely no more, like, it's the most sophisticated advertising platform in the history of mankind. And it's really exciting to like, just of like what they're just the platform, and like what they're constantly innovating, and like creating new ways for people like you and me to get our message out in front of the right people, and then a much larger group of the right people. So it's super exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you give us a couple of tips on getting started with ads?
Yeah, definitely. Well, number one, you got to just remember that it is social. So no one is going to Facebook, credit card in hand, thinking, what am I going to buy on Facebook today? Right. So you've got to be conversational about it. You've got to use things like videos, or content-based stories, like things that are going to be that are going to get people to like you. And then another thing, get specific with who you're speaking to. There was one video that I did, or there was one of my most successful Facebook Lives that I did this year. I was talking about like 4 areas of your business that require like consistent focus. And it was like really value-based video. It was like maybe 12, 13, 14 minutes long, something like that. But it was, a ton of value. And I realized after I got it in front of, a lot of like my own people, like my fans, which by the way is whenever I go to create a new campaign, the first audiences I'm going to put it in front of are my Facebook fans, my email list, custom audience, and then like people that have visited my blog. Like that's, you want to put it in front of people that know you first, get the engagement from the people that know you, and then expand it into a kind of a colder audience of people. And I realized that I was wearing a North Face shirt in the video. I didn't plan it like that, but I realized afterwards, okay, so I'm wearing this North Face shirt in the video. I'm like, what if I was to put this in front of home business owners who also like the North Face? And I'm like, because there's going to be an instant likability factor there. And it's going to be one of those things where they're going to see me. The very first thing that they're going to see is me wearing that t-shirt. And there's going to be like, it's going to be one of those things where they're going to be like, there's something about this guy. I don't know what it is, but I like him.
Yeah.
And that's something that you could do like with, there's a lot of different ways. So like if you're into riding Harleys, then wear a Harley Davidson shirt in your video and then put it in front of people who like Harley. You got to think in those kinds of terms.
What do you feel like today is most important to creating a solid attraction for new marketers online? Because I know you've worked with a ton of people. Like I've even had coaching from you before in the past and gone through your programs and your videos. What does that look like today, creating like a real solid pull to you?
Yeah, I mean, it really just comes from creating a lot of content. That really is what it comes down to. I mean, doing interviewing leaders is a great way to do. That's one of the things that I did in the beginning was I just going to events, interviewing leaders, but like just anything that like positions you as like a teacher, right? As somebody somebody who's providing value and not just pitching something. I mean, I think that's like it said, like the 2 best ways of positioning yourself as an authority in a niche is being published on the subject, right? Like publishing a book or speaking at an event in the industry. Those are like the 2 big ways to gain credibility and influence and authority in any niche. If you're not quite at the point where you're going to write a book, then the next best thing would be write a blog, write an ebook, right? If you're not to the point, if you're not quite to the point where you're speaking at events, then, the next best thing, make videos teaching people, you know what I mean? Like, and even when you are speaking at events, still make videos, even when you are publishing books, still make blog posts. They really, one thing I got into over the last couple of years that's made a big difference for me is repurposing content. I realized that I had a lot of old content that wasn't really, it was just kind of hanging out there. I'm like, Tony Robbins says questions are the answer. So the question that led to, that led me to this was the question was, how do I get my content in front of a new, audience of people? And the answer that I came up with, a couple years ago was Twitter. And then that led to a whole bunch of stuff with, that I've done with Twitter and training, and then I did a big training in MLSP. And then, I brought Todd and Leah into My Lead System Pro. I was their sponsors in MLSP. They really embraced my Twitter strategy, even took it to their own, new cool level. But that all came just from the question, how can I get my content in front of more people?
What do you recommend for day one marketers? Because I know you've been across all of the platforms. You've probably done all of them or done all of them simultaneously. What do you recommend for someone to get started at? I
mean, there's no like cut and paste answer to that question. There's no like one size fits all answer. I think what really makes the most sense is to find what you specifically resonate with. A good place to start is what attracted you into, what you're currently doing. If you came from a Facebook video ad, then that's a pretty good indication right there. Right? If you can't, so that's one place, to kind of look from. but it, it also has to do, with your personality a little bit. Some people like writing. I always kind of gravitated towards writing. But I also found that doing video, learning copywriting actually helped me with a lot of my video stuff, and learning video actually helped me with some of my writing stuff. So, I mean, I've done so many different marketing strategies. I've tried so many different things, like anything that you could think of that anyone has ever told you as terms of a way to get somebody to join a business or to like get onto an email list. I've done it. Right. And, maybe that's part of it too, is just trying stuff. I mean, it's like, look at what other people are doing. Look at what resonates with you, right? Look at, I think what's important, an important thing is like, identifying some people that you like that are crushing it in home-based business. Look at what they're doing, and then, ask yourself, do I see myself doing this? Because you might see somebody that's like, that's doing like social media prospecting, like going out and pretending to be friends with people so they to get them to look at your business, and you could say, there's no way in a million years I would go do that, right? Because that's kind of me, like okay, you might I might respect some of the people that are doing that, but no way in hell am I going to do that. No way. Right? And I also want I want to do leveraged things. I want to do things that's also going to kind of spark like creativity in myself and things like that. And that's content creation, blogging, videos, things like that. but I think a big part of it is just like go out there, try a bunch of things, make a big mess, and see what happens.
Awesome.
Yeah.
On that same point, what do you consider is your most valuable skill that you have right now in your arsenal after you've done all of this myriad of marketing? You've seen it all, done it all. What do you think is your most valuable skill that you've picked up or you have innately?
Yeah, really, really, really good question. I would say probably my ability to write in a very conversational way.
Awesome.
I think that's probably been the biggest thing. And like I said, even if you're doing videos, you still need headlines and descriptions and other things where writing is going to come in a big way.
Where should someone start to learn that? How did you learn it? I guess is a better question.
Yeah, I mean, I just learned it from just from following the people and following people like Brian Finale and Aaron Rashkin and like other people that are really well known, really good copywriters, and just kind of almost stalking them. Right. It's like I mean that was a big thing that it was actually one thing that led me to MLSP in the very, very beginning, was that Brian and even before MLSP, Brian and Norbert were crushing it in the direct sales online marketing business that I came into, where I kind of cut my teeth, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was watching them very, very closely. I was on their email list. I was watching their videos. I was following them on social media. I was basically like stalking them online because I wanted to know what they were doing to get the results that they got. I was, modeling successful people. It's just something that you do. And then that was actually when they announced that, hey, we're creating our own like online generic marketing system. It's called it's called MLM Lead System Pro, which was what it was called at the time. And it really just came from just kind of modeling and stalking Brian and Norbert online. But that's really, but I think that's where you start, is you find people that are good at it, and you just follow them and you read every single one of their emails. And I even go as far as to like, if I see a good email, I will take it and I will like put it in my own like file somewhere as like a reference to like reference back to, as like, this is like really good. And so and then just like, like I said a minute ago, kind of making a mess, right? It's like just trying stuff and like not judging yourself when you're going to suck at it in the beginning. And it's important not to judge yourself too much of like, this isn't that good compared to this, or like this is, it's really just, you got to just do it over and over and, kind of make a mess. and eventually you're going to get really good at it. That's how it works.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you sharing with us this evening. Very candid answers. I appreciate it.
Are you getting tons of value?
Yeah!
See, we told you. Be sure to head over to iTunes to like and subscribe. The Influence Tribe.
I just got to know, Adam, you've been in the game for a while. How many times have you actually wanted to quit and just say, I don't want to do this, and this is...
All right. Okay. Well, in that first year, there was maybe about 1,000 times. But I mean, even after having a 6-figure year, even after having my first 6-figure year, there was lots of times after that I wanted to quit. Like there was lots of times, like, you go in, you go to like, create a product or do a launch, or join a new company that you're excited about, and and then things don't go the way that you think that they're going to go. And then it sucks. And it's like, you have an expectation that something's going to go a certain way, and then it doesn't go that way. You want to quit. It's like, that's happened to me a lot of times, and that's going to happen to anybody who's like going for it. Right. When anytime you're taking a lot of action and you're doing, because you're going to have to do things that you're not used to doing, and you're going to have expectations, and the expectations aren't always going to play out like that. And there's going to be disappointment. So, it's just something that, I really don't know how many times, but a lot of times, like even when other people would look at me and say, this guy's really, really successful, even those times, there's been plenty of times where I've wanted to quit.
That leads into the next question. In the beginning, we all struggle. Give us something that you had to overcome way early on in order your business to succeed.
One thing that comes to mind is like not having any money for marketing. Like that was something that I kind of had to overcome. And there's been lots of times in my business where I wanted to buy something or invest in something or get to an event or something, and I did not have the money to do it. Being so committed to your business to make something happen no matter what, are two very different things. And I've gotten very creative with money over the years, right? So not having any money was one thing, and like having to borrow money from family members and on credit cards and stuff. That was one of the big things that I had to overcome was not having money to do my business the way that I wanted to do it. But I was able to find a way, because that's what successful people do. They find a way.
Didn't you even hitchhike with a stranger to get to an event?
I did. I hitchhiked with a guy and his mangy little dog. To my very first event in Lake Tahoe, which was when I first met Brian and Norbert, and there was times where, lots of things like that.
Right on. Whatever it takes.
Yeah. Not having the money. And then I think one of the other big things that I had to overcome was, a lot of people that I don't want to say they weren't in my corner, but it was very, very different for them, and very, I think especially even once I started having success, like a lot of people, friends and stuff, like kind of attacking me in various different ways, publicly or not publicly. That was one of the big things that I've had to overcome, and just usual things that we all have to overcome. Other negative influences in our lives. Not having the resources that we need to build the business. Not having been brought up with any type of an entrepreneurial mindset, and not really having any real models. And at least outside of the industry to follow in terms of entrepreneurship. But it's nothing that's unique to me. These are all things that we all have to deal with.
In the beginning of the show, I asked you, or I briefly said something about one of your proudest moments. Is that your proudest moment in your network marketing or primary business?
Like probably one of my proudest moments was like when I made my first $1,000 commission. Like it was like I had a $1,000 commission day, and I had never done that before. I'd never made $1,000 in a day before. And it was like, it really, this was when I wasn't making, I'd only had a handful of affiliate sales. I wasn't really, I wasn't really experiencing much success, but I had $1,000 day. It was like, and it was a guy in Denmark who bought a $2,000 product, and I made $1,000 commission. And that was one of the things that kept me going in the beginning. It was one of the things that really kept me moving forward, even when lots of other things were not working, that was like, it's like, wow, I made $1,000 and I made one single sale that made $1,000 and the guy lives in Europe. Like, it really opened my eyes to, or it really got me thinking like, wow, this is real. Like, I really need to stick with this and continue moving forward with this.
Can you give us one or two of your favorite quotes?
Yeah,
please?
Definitely. I really like a quote. I can't remember the name of the guy. I want to say his name's Eric Hoffer. I've never actually heard of him, but I think he is accredited to the quote. It says the learning will inherit the earth, while the learned will find themselves equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. Okay, so basically, you've got to continue learning. Like, be a lifelong student is basically what the quote is saying.
Either you're growing or you're dying.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually have a quote right up here in my front of me on my desk here. I could actually show it to you. Yeah. So it's a quote by Tony Robbins, and it says, there is always room in your life for thinking bigger, pushing limits, and imagining the unimaginable. There's no ceiling.
So leaders are readers, so they say. Give us one or two of your favorite books that you would recommend that you've read in the last 6 months.
Sure. I actually just read a book, or I'm in the process of listening to the Audible version of a book called Authentic Happiness, which I really like. It's just talking about different factors that lead to like real happiness in life, and a lot of times it's not what you might think. But that was really good. And then I just revisited 4 Hour. I revisited 4 Hour Workweek this year, which after reading it years ago, I've read it like this year. I've read it multiple times, and I've found like specific sections of the book that are like particularly relevant to me, and just listened to it over and over and over again, and read the chapter. So I'm reading it, and I'm listening to the Audible version just to like really sink it in. In a really big way. And then I haven't read a lot of new books. I've actually been going back to books that I've read in the past, and the ones that I've found particularly like impactful. And I'm like, I really want to get these like sinking in on a whole deeper level. So I've actually so Authentic Happiness was one of the newer books, but a lot of the books that I've been reading are like old books like that I've consumed in the past, like Start With Why by Simon Sinek, 4 Hour Workweek, Awaken the Giant Within, just a lot of ones like that. And then 22 Irrefutable Laws of Marketing, I think is what it's called. That was a newer one this year.
Give us a habit that's helped you become successful in your business. One major habit.
Like I said a little while ago, questions are the answer, right? That's something that Tony Robbins said. So I've found questions that I've found particularly relevant to me, and I'll just ask myself that question like throughout the day. Like, for example, one of the questions that I came up with, 2013 was kind of a dip year for me, right? And then 2014 was like, I doubled my income in 2014, right? And I've had lots of times over the years where I've had that. I've had like, I've had kind of a kind of a lower kind of a year followed by just explosive growth, right? And at the end of 2013, I identified 3 questions, and one of those questions that I still kind of, and this is kind of to answer your question about the habit, one of those questions is this a high leveraged use of my time? Is this a highly leveraged profit producing use of my time? Because I think if a lot of us, we ask ourselves that throughout the day, we can kind of catch ourselves doing a lot of low leverage activities that aren't really making much difference, right? That are just kind of time fillers that are usually used kind of to just almost as a distraction for the thing, to put off the things that we know that needs to be done. Right? Like, right, exactly. Like Facebook, like your Facebook news feed is not your friend. It is not helping you in your business. Trust me. So yeah, but and then to that, I guess also like just recognizing distractions, and like putting them in their place. Like I like being in my Facebook newsfeed, but I'm not going to let it consume my entire day, or I'm not going to get anything done. So I compartmentalize it and take it and say, okay, well, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to look through my newsfeed right now, but that's it. After the 10 minutes, I'm back to work.
Over your course of your career, you've got a lot of coaching, and you've got, some high level coaching. Give us one best piece of advice that you've ever received as it's related to your business.
The best piece of advice that I've ever received. Yeah. Okay. So I had like the sponsor in that first business, like really, really early on. He this was in my first year. I had maybe just started making some money. Like it was probably right around the time I made that first $1,000 commission. Right. And there was an event coming up, and and my sponsor said, Adam, are you going to the Tahoe event? Because that's where it was, in Lake Tahoe. That was also the event that I hitchhiked to, right? He said, are you going to the event? And I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to go. I'm like, I'd rather use, the funds, for advertising and for buying more stuff, buying more info products and stuff. And he actually told me, I'll never forget this. He said, if you don't go to this event, he's like, you should probably just throw in the towel in your business. Like, and I was like, at the time, I'm like, my immediate thought is, what a jerk this guy is for telling me that. He's like, I'm like, here I am. Like, I joined him in a business. I've been doing everything he's been telling me. I've been working my butt off. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm just starting to have some results. He tells me if I don't go to the event that I should throw in the towel. And I took his advice and I went, and that was the event that I hitchhiked to. I met Brian and Norbert. I went full time like 3 months after coming home from that event. Like, it was probably some of the best advice anyone has ever given me.
And the thing is, where would you be now if you didn't go to that event?
I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
Right.
I maybe would have quit. There's a good chance I would have thrown in the towel if I did not go to the event.
Okay, so now share with us a moment in your business that you were struggling, and then you had that aha moment. The light bulb went off. Everything just the bright beam of light came down on you. What was that?
Yeah, man, that's a tough one. It was like a moment, like one specific moment where I was struggling, and then all of a sudden, like, God spoke to me or something.
Yeah. Heard that.
Right. I mean, I think that it may be something as you know what it could have been. Like one of the things that really stood out to me, and this is kind of funny. I was at an event. I wouldn't say I was struggling, but this was like a big aha moment. I was at an event and I heard someone say something. It was somebody from stage, and they said something, and I'm like, I'm going to use that. And like, everybody kind of got a chuckle out of what he said, right? But I actually took it, and I'm like, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that in a Facebook ad, and that is going to make me a ton of money. And a bunch of other people heard it, but they didn't. I don't think they had that like light bulb moment as I did. As, wow, that's something that I can leverage. And I took that and I turned it into an ad, and that ad maybe made me $50,000 in 2014, like just from the income that I got from the ad that I created based off of just hearing what one guy said at the event. But it wasn't just him saying it. Like, it was me. I call it opportunity seeking perception. It's like there was another webinar that I was on with a very successful Facebook marketer, and this was like a free webinar. And she said, she's like, when you go to create your ad, she's like, pretend that you're sitting next to a friend who's struggling, and you're giving them advice. It's like you've got your arm around them and you're giving them advice, and you're saying, I used to be like you, then I found this, right? And it was another like light bulb moment for me. And I actually took the combination of what this guy said on stage and what she said on the webinar, and I turned it into an ad that was one of the most successful Facebook ads that I've ever created. But it was like, I call it opportunity seeking perception. It's like I hear something that somebody says, like, this person said this on the webinar. There was lots of other people on the webinar who heard it. They didn't get that little ding, 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 ding in their mind like I did. because I was like, what she just said was gold. I need to go and take this immediately and put it into action. And I think those are just a couple of my aha moments that I've had.
Well, before we wrap this up, I just want to shoot this over to Miguel real quick. Miguel, do you have any final thoughts or questions you want to hit up Adam with?
Opportunity seeking perception. I think that may be an aha moment for me. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. Scott, I just want to remind everybody who's watching this on the influencetribe.com to go ahead and click that big yellow button off to the side of the page. Make sure you click that button, fill out the form, get back to the person who invited you, and start working with a proven leader. Start moving forward. That's about it. Adam, thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom with us this evening. I absolutely appreciate it. I got a ton of value from this, and thanks again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to share with your audience.
All right, Adam, before you go, I got to ask you the $1 million question, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So here it is. You've lost all your income, but you have all the knowledge that you currently possess. If you had to start all over again, what would you do in your business to start getting immediate results?
I would just start pumping out a ton of content. I would just doing what I did, which was just learning a lot of stuff, like excitedly learning a lot of stuff, and then excitedly turning around and turning that into content to share with people, and just doing that as much as possible. Like that's all I do, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. I would do it all day, every day until I got my life back on track.
Right on.
Then I would take a little step back.
Take a break. Do you got any parting words to our audience, wisdom, and
sure.
What's the best way they can get in contact with you?
Sure. So I have a free coaching club called New World Marketers. So New World Marketers, all one word, .com. That's something that I'm really excited about. Ton of value there. I also have my blog, meetadamchandler.com, and then email is just like adam@meetadamchandler.com kind of thing. So that's how people can get in touch with me. To answer your other question, like something that I want to leave you with, I mentioned opportunity seeking perception. So I just kind of want to get back to that for a sec. And I've also heard another way that I've heard it by a very, very successful 8-figure marketer. He calls it opportunistic eyes. Right? You've got to learn to develop these opportunistic eyes. And the way that he explained it is that throughout history, there have been very, very successful people and very, very unsuccessful people. They're looking at the same land, right? And the land, we'll say that in our case, the land is kind of invisible because it's the internet online home business space. There's going to be some people that are going to look at that landscape and they're going to just see challenges and this is why I can't do it. And there's already so many people that are being successful. Why would anybody want to buy from me or join with me? There's going to be, but then again, there's going to be also people that are that are at the same level as those people that are going to come into this and they're going to say, there is major opportunity here. This is an industry that needs leadership. I can be that leader. There's plenty of room for me to come in here and make a big splash. And you've got to become that second person. You've got to get away from being the first person that says that all they see is, because they're looking at the same thing. It's just one person perceiving it differently. You got to get away from being the person that only sees the challenges and the problems and this is why it's not going to work, to become the person that says there's major opportunity here. There's major need here. I can fill that need. There's just major room. There's plenty of room for me and to come in here and have a major impact. And as long as you work on developing those opportunistic eyes, that opportunity seeking perception, and becoming that person, then you'll do very well.
This has been an awesome episode tonight, Adam. You are definitely a massive influencer. Thank you again for coming on tonight. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Folks, you are the product of the 5 closest people that you hang out with. And tonight you've been hanging out with Adam Chandler. So we want to thank everybody for coming on tonight, and good night.
Thank you for joining us today at the Influence Tribe. All right, here's what you got to do. Run, don't walk. Over to theinfluencetribe.net for recaps of every show, training, and helpful resources. Make no mistake, your internet marketing success is waiting for you. Head to the website and prepare yourself to become a massive influencer.